Yeah, you too. You well?
Thanks. Yeah. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, okay, good, very good. Nice place to work.
Just a reminder, no live tweeting during it for people who are sometimes not regulars here. All cameras okay? You good? All right then, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi, Roy.
Michael.
Team news. Good news with Josh Keane.
Well, he hasn't trained yet. He's going to join us in training this morning, as is Willie Kong. But of course, we haven't had a chance over the last week or so to really assess them. So it'll be very close for both of those if they're going to take part in the game. But it does depend totally on how they come through the training session this morning.
Looking back, have you had time to look back on the Arsenal game? And it showed that it was a really good game, and you know you're nearly there, aren't you, in terms of getting something?
I thought we did a lot of good things. There's no doubt about it. I thought large swathes of our play were really pretty good. The shape of the team was pretty good throughout. But of course, the problem is when you play the top teams, whether you're playing at home or away, if a chance comes their way, they are capable of scoring those very good goals. So, you know, each of their three goals were well taken, I thought, in particular the two longest shots. You know, you can be lucky in those situations. You can make a slight mistake somewhere and a shooting opportunity occurs for the opposition, but they don't always smash it into the back of the net. But I thought if we could see the game globally, I thought the team did pretty well against a strong opponent, and I think it does give us a few things to take forward into the coming games.
It's never easy, is it, taking over a club halfway through the season? I was speaking to Antonio Conte the other day, and he said he didn't realise just how much work he had to do. How do you and Ray feel about? Do you feel that as well, or have you got what you expected here?
I think we got more than we expected. I think the way the players have worked very hard to try and, you know, buy into some of the thoughts that we have and things that we think are going to be needed if we're going to go forward and, you know, give ourselves a chance of survival. I've been really quite surprised at how hard they've worked at that and how quickly they've really grasped the nettle as well. So we've got literally no complaints at all. The big problem, of course, is getting that situation where you turn a decent performance into 3 points, and on more than one occasion we found ourselves giving what we think is a more than decent performance, but it's not led to points, and there you are, you're back with the old dilemma. You know you need performances to get points, but you're still really hoping for that wonderful day that comes when the performance is perhaps lacking but the points are there.
There seems to be pressure whenever a team's at home in the Premier League, and there was a reaction of the crowd in terms of substitution. But also, is it for you to say as well, look, I've been here a long time in management, I know what I'm doing, and also I've got a big squad here now?
I think the crowd were pretty supportive. Obviously they have put up probably ideas that when a board goes up, they think the guy that they think should be substituted is going to come off. So if you don't take that person, you take somebody else, you know, you risk a reaction. It's happened on, I can't remember many places where I've worked where there hasn't been that sort of reaction at one time or another. And to be fair, Lowe's has done very well for us. I don't think he played as well on Sunday as he could, but that wasn't the reason we took him off. That was for, you know, just to get some fresh legs in his position by a fellow who plays in his position. So I can understand those things. But I thought throughout the game the crowd were actually very good, very supportive. As we pushed towards the end of the game, they were really trying to will us over the line, and you can't ask much more than that from a team which isn't near the bottom of the league or at the bottom of the league, and what's more, a team that hasn't won any home games. So we haven't given them much to shout about these last 3 months.
And people say you've got to win your home games, but it's not always true, is it? Because you've got a couple of away games coming up now, and it might be a good thing. You never know.
Well, you've got to win games. That's what, you know, people, well, you know, there isn't that much to say in football when it boils down to the bottom line. There isn't such an awful lot to say. You know, you've got 38 games. You've got to get yourself over that 36, 38 point mark to even have a chance. To do that, you've got to get points, and to get points, you've got to win games. And it's very simple for people to suggest that, well, the points will come here or they'll come there. For us who are working in it, we just have to accept that we're going to take the points and try and get the points wherever we can. I thought we tried very hard to dent Arsenal on Sunday and get points there. now we've got to go out and do it again and try and get the same sort of response from the players and try and do what we did on Sunday against the Arsenal, against Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolves have lost their last 3 league games. Have you seen enough from them? They're obviously a very good side, but have you seen enough from them to suggest you've got good attacking players to give them problems at Molyneux?
Well, whenever you go into a game, you look at your own squad, you believe in your own squad, you believe in your players, and of course you always dream of the players having good games and, bringing out, if you like, the very best of their qualities, and that if they can do that, they can cause problems. But it really does boil down to how we're going to perform on the evening. We know that Wolves are a good team, we know they're hard to beat. They're not in their position in the table by chance, they're there because they've played well and taken points from games. So just like the game on Sunday is going to be, it's another tough ask for us, but we're happy to be going up there and try to do our very best to answer the question.
Thanks, Roy.
Pleasure.
Hi Roy, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Despite the defeat against Arsenal a few days ago, what are the main positive elements you are taking from your players' performance?
Well, I think there were 3. I think first of all, we're playing without 2 of the regular front players, and the 2 guys who came in, João Pedro, who's not played many games, it was only his second start during my time at the club, and Cucho Hernandez, who was making his first start. I thought they did a remarkably good job, really, filling in for the 2 players that most people would think are the regular front players. I think the second thing I'm very proud about is the resilience of the team, the way that even though we went both 1-0, 2-1 and 3-1 behind, we found a way of trying to fight back, and even to the extent that in the final minutes of the game we were actually pushing for that equaliser, which the players have worked hard to get. And the third thing that I think was very positive is the shape of the team, the way the players are working very, very hard to make it difficult for the opponents to keep a good shape, to get back into shape when they lose it. These are things which every manager and coach is looking for from his team, but I think that against the Arsenal we showed very good signs of doing that.
In terms of Wolves tomorrow, they've done a few sloppy mistakes against Palace recently. Is that something you think that could be advantage against them tomorrow?
Wolves have made mistakes. No, I think every team makes mistakes. All goals are mistakes. That's the bottom line. There are mistakes which even the most ill-educated of spectators or people who watch a game of football can recognise as a mistake. There are some that everyone says, oh dear me, what a terrible mistake, how did that happen? But all goals, if you like, can be traced back to some sort of mistake somewhere in the way you've set up to try and stop the goal and the way that you haven't succeeded in doing so. 1 or 2, unfortunately, of our errors at the weekend were very clear for all to see, but I don't blame the players for that. That these things happen in football. In the course of a game of football, you can quite easily, when you edit it, come up with a good 20 to 25 situations where very clear and bad mistakes have been made defensively, but you don't see games being won by 20 goals to 0. So you can get away with them. Unfortunately, the couple of mistakes we made, we didn't get away with.
Are you surprised that in the table Wolves are where they are, despite the fact they haven't scored a lot of goals this season?
No, because the thing about goals is it's very nice if you can do what Fulham are doing in the Championship and smashing everybody by 4 and 5 goals each week. But the real trick is still to make certain you score 1 more than the opposition. So if the best way for you to do that is to make certain you don't concede many goals, and that's giving you enough solidity, if you like, in your team to make sure that when you do score your goal or 2, it wins you the game. I think that's a very reasonable way of playing. I'd much rather be in their position than in ours, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Mark, you wanted to ask?
Hi Roy. You touched on the poor home run earlier. At the moment, in the situation you're in, can playing away from home just ease the pressure on your players a little bit? They know if they make a mistake, there's not going to be as much pressure on them or the crowd getting on their back. Is that something you buy into?
Well, I don't know that the crowd... I didn't have the impression, to be honest, in the games that we've played with, that the crowd have got on the players' back. Not particularly. I don't think that our crowd deserves anything other than praise and sympathy for coming to the games as regularly as they do and supporting us as they're doing. And not going away with any reward, because the reward when you get your home games, you have a full house and people are obviously there wanting and trying to will you to win, the reward's got to be that you do win. When that happens and you don't win, then you realise they're going to be very, very disappointed. You know, I know how disappointed I am after games that we play, so why should that be any different for people in the crowd who are paying their money to come and watch us? So I don't think that's a problem as such. I don't think we're not doing well at home because the crowd aren't doing their bit. I don't really know why it's happening. I mean, to be honest, we haven't been as successful at home during the time I've been here as we've been away from home, but there hasn't necessarily been a vast gulf in performances. It's not as if, well, when we play away we do this and we're very, very good, but then when we come home we don't do it. That actually hasn't been the case. It can also be, of course, that home games do put a bit more pressure on you to take risks and to go forward and score goals, because just keeping a clean sheet is never going to be enough. Sometimes away from home, especially against the top teams, you know, you can play on the counter-attack. You can be very compact and very hard to break down, and it can be you that break away. Because to be fair, Arsenal for their goals, it wasn't that Ben Foster was under siege, the back four was under siege, they had lots and lots of shots. It wasn't the case like that. But the thing is, if you've got good players and you've got good finishers in your team, they don't need many chances. That was the problem, and they certainly showed us that on Sunday.
You ran obviously a very informed Arsenal side close on Sunday. I think the people that were watching on TV and in the ground would have agreed that you arguably deserved something at the end. When you then look at what happened to Everton on Monday night, that just proves that against the best in this league, you can really get turned over sometimes, can't you?
Oh yeah, you can. You can even be unlucky, because you know, another very close game in actual fact was the 4-1 defeat against Crystal Palace, because up until about the 83rd, 84th minute, 2-1 with us, you know, still trying to do our level best to get that equaliser, and suddenly you concede those two goals in the last few minutes. But it wasn't really a 4-1 game. It wasn't the game where, well, we got beat 4-1 because they were all over us and created chance after chance. So we've got to keep that going. There's no doubt about that. There's no point in me wasting lots and lots of words on the fact that we aren't winning at home, because I don't really have a lot to say. If I really could truthfully say, well, what we've got to do at home is this, which is very different to what we've been doing away, I would say it, but it isn't. You know, we've set up, we've worked as hard, we've been in the same sort of shape away and at home, but unfortunately at home we've fallen foul actually of a few very good goals at the wrong moments, and we found ourselves having to fight back from losing positions all the time.
And you've got 11 games left now. When you enter the realm of must-wins, do you think, or you're already there?
Yeah, well, I mean, what is a must-win? I mean, that's the bottom line. You never know. I mean, the simple answer to the question is when there's not enough games and points left for you to get yourself out of the relegation zone. That's the simple answer. We certainly aren't there yet, and I think it is important to keep faith. And I must say, remembering back to those Fulham days where things looked really, really bleak with us with 4 games to go, I thought the crowd and the club were very, very good in what they called keeping the faith. To be honest, I don't know what faith we'd given them, but they decided whatever it was, they were going to keep it, and as a result, you know, their faith, I suppose, and their help did pull us through. Although 2 of the wins were away from home, and I think about it, so I suppose you could doubt that factually.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's the end of the broadcast section, guys, for the cameras.